So, I've been an iPad user for a very long time now, and lately it seems like Apple doesn't even care about the iPad anymore, and the iPad is becoming harder and harder to recommend. But that may change actually with the Let Loose event that Apple is having on May 7th at 7 a.m. Pacific Time or 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, this is at a new time from normal, but is this actually going to save the iPads in the way we think? Well, it might. Now, personally, I would not recommend anyone go get an iPad right now where they stand, as I don't feel there is a need or a use case for the iPads anymore. And let me explain that, because yes, there are use cases for them, but with the way the iPad stands right now, this is my M1 iPad Air that is 2 years old, and I just don't use it anymore. It has the M1 chip in it, but it physically cannot do half of the things I would like it to do. Where is my calculator app? It is on iPad OS 17, and we still don't have a calculator app. Now, this is rumored to come with iOS 18, but why did it take us 18 software versions to get here? Why can't I put my apps freely? Why can't I do all of these things? Why does my iPad overheat when I use the Notes app? I have an M1 chip in here. This should not be overheating. But anyways, I can go on and on about why you might not need an iPad and what's wrong with the iPads. And a lot of people seem to agree. Now, Apple also did not update the iPads in 2023. It's been a little over a year since we've seen an upgrade, as the last upgrade was in the fall of 2022 to the iPad lineup. So we definitely have some big improvements that come. So we're gonna see 2 new iPads and potentially 2 new accessories. So we're going to see an iPad Air, an iPad Pro, a new Apple Pencil maybe, and a new Magic Keyboard. So we're going to start with the iPad Air. So the iPad Air for the first time is going to come in a new size of 12.9 inches. Now they're keeping around the 10.9 inches. Now this iPad Air is going to get the M2 processor. It's going to keep the same screen size as before if you have the 10.9 inch, but we're also going to see that 12.9 inch as I mentioned before, which is going to be bigger than that of the predecessor, and it is the same size as the large iPad Pro currently. Now, featuring the M2 chip is definitely going to be a nice change, but I just don't think it's going to be as big of an upgrade as we need to these iPads, as it's the software that needs to change. But we're going to talk about the software a little bit later. Now, that's really it for the iPad Air lineup. We're, of course, going to see some new colors and that M2 chip and the new size, but that's really it. Then we may also see a relocation of the camera, but that has not really been rumored, as it'll now be in landscape instead of vertical like on the regular 10.9 inch iPad. Now, the new OLED iPad Pros, and yes, you did hear me right, I said OLED, is going to come in an 11 inch and for the first time a 13 inch. So it's going to be bigger than the previous 12.9, as the 12.9 is now going down to the iPad Air. And now these OLED screens are definitely going to be nice. They're going to be the same screens that are used on our iPhones, which if you've used an OLED iPhone, you know how good the OLED screens from Apple are. Same thing with the iPad Pros. They're going to move the camera to landscape and also have the center stage and all those fancy features with Face ID, as the iPad Pro is the only one that has that Face ID. But it is still going to be very interesting to see which version of the M3 chip Apple gives us. Will they give it the M3 Pro? Will they give it the regular M3? The Air is just going to get the M2, but it would be cool to kind of see Apple pushing these chips and iPads even further, as you kind of want to reinvent the market with these, as there's no need for them now, it seems. We're going to get a new Magic Keyboard as well, as I mentioned before. So this Magic Keyboard is going to feature a totally new redesign and going to be made in aluminum, which is essentially going to make the iPad feel more like a computer. And as someone who has used his iPad Air as a computer replacement for about a week, it definitely is doable and usable, but you have to you have to look at what you want, because with Mac you have so much more freedoms, but with the iPads it's almost like you're locked into just the larger iPhone. Now, we're also going to get apparently the 3rd generation Apple Pencil. So we currently only have the 2nd generation Apple Pencil or the USB-C, as the 2nd generation Apple Pencil has that fancy tab to change your tool and all of that. But this new Apple Pencil is going to be able to squeeze and be able to respond to different gestures, that it is definitely going to be very interesting. The tips are also going to change on this Apple Pencil, and they may be magnetic, which I don't think is a change I am here for, because personally I like the fact that my Apple Pencil tip will not come off, and my backpack get lost, get thrown around, as I know it's screwed on. But probably the most limiting factors for the iPads right now is iPadOS. So iPadOS is the most limiting factor of the iPads. I can't place my apps freely. I can't run full-fledged desktop versions of apps. I'm stuck to the mobile version of apps unless the app developer is willing to go and make a different experience for an iPad user, which is definitely a lot of work and they definitely may not do. But some developers do that and it makes the iPad experience amazing. But essentially just porting over the iPhone features a year after they've been on the iPhone doesn't make the iPad work. It almost makes the iPad the forgotten child because Apple is bringing these features over a year later. iOS 16, we got these fancy new lock screens where we could put widgets and all that. iPadOS 16 brought a new time change, whereas iPadOS 17 brought the fancy lock screen where you can put widgets and all of that on your lock screen. But seeing that this is being forgotten about, and as I said before, where is the calculator app? That is mine, pretty much, and I'm going to harp on that. Where is this calculator app? Now, yes, I know you can get a third-party app from the App Store, but Apple has made it so easy for them themselves using Catalyst apps to bring their own apps to the iPad. They just choose not to. Seeing that with iPadOS 18 and the integration of AI into the software, it definitely seems that we're in for a very big overhaul later this year, which is definitely going to be very interesting. But let me know what your thoughts are down below with a comment about this Let Loose event, because it is definitely very interesting to see what we can get, as this event kind of came from left field as no one thought we were having one. And while you're down there, if you want to hit like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that as well. But I want you to remember, today's a good day to make a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.